Hello, and welcome to Continuing the Conversation with Sadie. Today's episode is one I've been looking forward to because our guest sits right at the heart of what this podcast is all about: the lived realities of care, the boundaries that protect us, and the emotional labour that so often goes unseen. Tracey Doris McGee, is that correct, Tracey?
Yes,
Yes,
Doris.
thank you. Is a respected consultant, trainer, and leader across both NHS and private sector health and social care. Her work spans quality assurance, governance, audits, mock inspections, functional and cognitive assessments, discharge planning, admission avoidance, and supporting teams through complex operational and emotional challenges. She has mentored new registered managers, guided services through inspections, supported teams during difficult transitions. I think that's a really big one. And held space for staff navigating the emotional weight of care work. But what makes Tracy's work resonate so deeply with this space is her belief that high quality care is relational. It's not just a standard to meet, it's a culture to cultivate. It's something lived, felt, and modelled. It's shaped by boundaries, communication, and the courage to ask difficult questions. And Tracy brings a grounded, compassionate clarity to every service she supports. She understands the pressure points, the responsibility, and the human cost of caring for others. And she approaches it all with honesty, steadiness, and deep respect. Her work reminds us that care is not just a service, it's a relationship. It's commitment to doing things well, even when the system feels stretched. And it's a reminder that boundaries, emotional awareness, and reflective practice are not optional extras. They are the foundations of safe, sustainable care. Tracy, I'm so glad you're here. Let's begin.
Thank you.
Hi. We're
Hi.
going to start off with, I always do, with
Mm,
foundations and values.
yeah.
So I'd love to find out, when you think about high quality care, what sits at the foundation for you?
So, as you've already mentioned, I work with quite a lot of providers over many settings, uh, nursing home, care homes, domiciliary care, supported living. I work with adults, young adults, and people living with learning disabilities. And I think what really sits at the foundation of the heart of quality is services that really do understand the impact of people's lived experience within a service, and that they pay attention to that. So going back to the mum test or the dad test, when I was first starting out in my career, um, my husband was working away, and I wanted to have a little job. So I thought it'd be quite a good idea to work in a care home in the evenings, where my parents would be able to look after my children. On my first shift in a care home, I saw something that changed the demographics of my career and where I was headed. And it was so impactful in a positive way for me, but not a positive way for the person that I was observing. And
Hmm.
that was enough for me to want to build and carve a career in health and social care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
that's what sits at the foundation for me.
yeah,
It's that mum test. And it sounds so simple. Everybody talks about it.
yeah, I totally agree. This is why we start with the foundations, because this is where everything starts. It's at the
Yes.
it's at the core. It's so important, and yeah, that's quite common for a situation because you've worked across so many different sectors.
Yes.
I can see that because you know exactly what you're looking for. It just adds to the quality of the care that you provide and the advice you provide. It all makes sense with that one comment.
Mm.
What values have guided you throughout your career, especially in moments of pressure or change?
So I think the thing that's kind of guided me throughout my career is to really put myself in the person's shoes, put myself in their lived reality.
Yeah.
So, I'll go into services where managers are stressed, overworked, undervalued, or where services are in trouble, and culture within the service is fearful, and such a negative culture, feeling like they're overwhelmed. So
Yeah.
I try and put myself into their shoes, into their reality. And by doing that, I can then, I'm like a fluid concept as a consultant. So once I've understood what their reality is, where they're at, um, I can then develop my support, my mentoring, coaching around that.
Right.
And
Yes.
the age old question, doesn't it? Our values, these core values that many of us that love what we do working in health and social care, are they learnt or are you born with them? It's the old age question, isn't it?
Perfect. That is exactly why we're exploring this as our first section, because that's exactly where we're going. What does a healthy care culture look and feel like on the ground to you, Tracy?
Well, I'll give you a small example of what a healthy culture looks like to me. So, on one particular example, I was doing a mock inspection of a really large service. I parked myself in the car park, and that's where my assessment of the service begins.
Began. Yeah.
It begins as I get out of the car,
Yeah.
see,
So
because
true.
nobody knows that I'm in the car park. Some of my inspections or service assessments, as you'd like to call them, are announced. Some of them are unannounced.
Mm.
So whether they're announced or or not announced, my assessment starts as soon as I get out of the car. And in this particular service, there was a gardener um, clipping some hedges and plants around the windows of the residents in
Yeah.
this. And as I got out of the car, he turned and he looked at me and he asked me, and he said, "Hello, good morning. How are you today?"
Yeah.
And I
First
responded,
impressions.
said, "Do you know where you need to be? Is this your first time visiting the service? Is there anything I can help you with? Would you like me to show you where reception is?" And that's the gardener. So that immediately set the tone for the
Yeah.
rest of that.
I hear
So,
you. And it's about everybody being respected in the team from the care home, isn't it, as well? It flips the other way.
absolutely,
Yeah. That's
absolutely.
brilliant. Yeah. I really, really get that. And I I think I would be the same in your shoes. How do you help teams reconnect with those core values when things become chaotic or overwhelming?
And yeah, that's a difficult question, and it is really it
It's
it
hard to
is really
manage.
it is really hard to manage. But I think when you've got teams that are overwhelmed or in conflict or not working effectively as a team, I think it's really important for teams to understand that it's the differences between us that make a good team. If we were all the same, we
Mhm.
wouldn't be an effective team. And I think it's also helping managers because I do a lot of leadership and management training. I do a lot of effective team working training as part of my job. And I think it's helping the teams themselves and the managers to understand the whole journey of an effective team. So
Mm.
teams form, they norm, they storm, and they perform, which is a Tuckman theory that I teach in some of my training.
Right.
And teams can go from storming in conflict to performing, but they can then, when there's any dynamics or any changes within the
Yeah.
team, if somebody leaves or if
Yeah.
somebody else joins, the dynamics of the team change again.
Change. Yeah.
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 And
That's tricky, isn't it?
I think it's helping team members understand that you may feel a little bit anxious when somebody's leaving, or you may feel a bit anxious when learn somebody new comes into the team, but that's normal.
But
That's
also
normal.
it's yeah, it is normal, but I'm also thinking from a management point of view, if you've got a really good culture and a really good team, replacing that person who's gone is really difficult because effectively you'll be looking for somebody to replace the person that's left to keep the culture going. And with the way recruitment is at the moment, I mean, that's one hell of an ask and one hell of a job.
It
Um,
is.
so I think that also highlights something else, which is continuity of care and keeping staff, um, so that everything can remain the same for the patients as well. Very
Yeah.
hard to achieve, not easy at all. And when you mention dynamics, I do see exactly what you mean. And it's because you're going in, you want them to have the best possible care. I imagine the way that you get the team talking and understanding their differences is what makes it work is really vital to the whole organization.
Absolutely. And it pretty much just a few little bite-sized training questions, from team, games,
Yeah,
and challenges where they can really pull together as a team, and they can identify natural leaders, natural followers, people who take charge, and they can identify the way that the team performance changes when they're
yeah,
first given a challenge to do together,
yeah.
and how they manage that between themselves. And then they can use those transferable skills on the
Hmm.
floor or
Yeah,
out in the community.
I love that. That's brilliant. Thank you, Tracy. That was really, really insightful first section, and you made some really, really important points there, I think. So we're going to move on to emotional intelligence, which is
Mm.
also vital to care work or at any level, whether you're a manager, carer, cleaner, it doesn't matter. You're still taking responsibility for somebody else. One of the threads that runs through your work is emotional intelligence, Tracy, and it's not as a buzzword, but as a lived skill, as you've mentioned. You've
Mm.
supported managers, frontline staff, and whole services through moments of uncertainty, pressure, and change. And you've done it with a kind of emotional steadiness that people really, really feel. So I just wanted to know, how has emotional intelligence shaped the way you lead, support, and challenge teams, Tracy?
Well, I think when I first go into a service, I think the most important thing to do is to listen. So it's listen, excuse me, give people the space, um, to open up, um, to be able to have open and transparent discussions without
Mm.
being judged. So you take away that fear. So you let them know that you are a normal person, you're approachable. You got up this morning the same as they did. You
Uh-huh.
did probably all of the same things that they did. You give them space to
Yeah.
talk, to to m- to deliver some empathy,
Yeah.
put yourself in their shoes, like I've said to you before. But also, I think really important is to control my own reactions. So if they are opening up about something or an incident or a safeguarding investigation that they've been involved in
Yeah.
or that run, I think really controlling your own reactions to the information that they're giving you gives them the space to open up and, not to be judged in any way at all. So, that's kind of what I do.
Yeah, and it must be really hard if somebody has made a mistake. We are human, and people are learning. Um, and I just think it's really good if they feel safe to be open and honest about that. It makes it a learning opportunity, not something to hide and be afraid of. So I think it's the way it's phrased and presented as well.
Yeah,
And
it's that
then
whole logical culture, isn't it,
yeah,
really? If
yeah,
you can
it's
embed
that.
that within your service,
Yeah,
you know, y-
absolutely. Absolutely. What emotional pressures do you see managers and frontline staff carrying that often go unspoken?
well, they're just absolutely exhausted, aren't they? All of the managers that all of the sectors
They
are
are. They've
absolutely
done it.
exhausted. Dare we mention the COVID word?
We all
You know,
do because it was a big part of our lives, and
it
financially
was,
we're all paying for it now.
yeah,
Um,
and emotionally and physically
yeah,
and mentally.
in every
So
way,
that,
every service, every system.
yeah,
There's a lack of resources, lack of funding. The population's getting bigger. We're not prepared for it.
no,
Um,
they're
and
absolutely exhausted. but by that, all of that that you're talking about, which, every day they have to get up and get that kind of that they have to put on that rucksack of burden that they feel,
I do.
having targets, the challenges that they're currently facing with the Care Quality Commission, all the changes that the Care Quality Commission are going through has a ripple effect on
Yes.
how services are being run and the pressures that they're on. They don't know if they're coming or going. They don't know how the inspections are supposed to take place. They don't know how often the inspections, they have 34 quality statements to kind of look at, which are now looking as though they're not going to be in place, all of them. Some of them may change. So,
Right.
there's so much that the frontline
Mm.
staff,
It's too
are
much.
worried about. They're exhausted. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
It's
see
too
it.
much.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you personally stay grounded when you're holding the emotional weight of others, Tracy, with your backpack?
It's yeah, difficult because I lead with my heart. Like
Mm.
I said before, that emotional empathy that you have is instilled in me. I don't know if I was born with it or if I've learnt it, but I
I
always
think it's
leave
who
a
you
little.
are.
Yeah, I leave a little bit of my heart with every service that
Yeah.
I work with. Um, but how I try and do it is I try and maintain boundaries.
Mm.
So I try
Good
and
point.
maintain boundaries. I do try and look after my own mindfulness.
Yeah.
I remind myself of the purpose that I'm there for to support them. So in order to support them, I need to center myself.
Yeah. So,
So, yeah, if I'm a little
yeah.
bit wobbly, I'm not gonna be able to support other people who are a little bit wobbly. That's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah, I had a lovely conversation with Dr. Neil Tomlinson, and he emphasized a lot about our embedded why, which is exactly what you're talking about. And
Mm,
it's exactly what he was discussing and what so many people I've talked to have brought up
yeah,
time and time again. That
yeah,
recentering, finding what I call your true north, reminding yourself of why you're doing what you're doing. And I think when you are on the right path, you know, because you get signs and symbols. I know I am because I'm talking to you today, and I'm very lucky to be doing that.
yeah.
Um, but also, I know it's because people believe in me and they know me and they know what I do, and as they do with you. So
Mm.
it's really being in tune with your intuition, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
I just wondered, what does emotionally intelligent leadership look like to you in a care setting? As a final one for this section, I think, because you're really hot on emotional intelligence.
Well, I think, managers that have learnt the difference between leadership and management and how to navigate the different skills, and attributes within those two kind of hats that they have to put on.
Yeah,
Um, they're
that's top
calm.
level management, isn't it? We're talking
Yeah,
about
they're
there.
calm, they're compassionate, they've got empathy, they've got accountability, they try and support a transparent culture, reflective practice, not target focused. Um, and they're really, really, really interested in their care family, which includes the care staff, residents, and other
Yeah,
people that visit the service, relatives, advocates. That's what emotional intelligence looks like in a care setting. Very, very strong leaders.
brilliant. And I don't think there's many of them. Because of the culture and the way it's all gone, it's hard for them to come through, isn't it? And promote more people into the industry. But yeah, that when you say it like that, I can think of it makes me think of ones I've had and thought, yep, they were one of those. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully
Yeah,
we can all relate to that.
strong leaders. Yeah.
When we talk about reflective care,
Hmm.
your approach to audits, safeguarding investigations, and service improvement is
Mm,
deeply reflective, Tracy. You
hmm.
help teams look beyond compliance and into culture, communication, and patterns, which, I mean, you
Hmm.
don't get more thorough than that. That's brilliant. You help them slow down enough to notice what's really happening. I just want to emphasize the word slow because I think the pace is way too quick at the moment. It's
Yeah.
all rush, 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 and things are getting missed. So to have someone steadfast like yourself is
Hmm.
an absolute. credit to the industry because otherwise things are just going to go too quick. People are going to trip up.
Mhm.
I just wanted to know, what does reflective practice mean to you and why is it so important to you in care?
Well, I think if you take the time, like you say, slow down, take the time, reflect on accidents, incidents, near misses, when something has nearly happened. I think you can really support a safer psychological culture within the service. So, not a blame culture. We're not looking at what's happened, who didn't do what they were supposed to do, who is in the wrong. We're
Yeah,
looking at what has happened? What have we done well? How can we improve? How can we reduce the risk of this happening again? And that prime
100%.
evidence that I'm always looking for when I'm doing service assessments is lessons learnt. People tend to put in all the work with gathering all of the data. I must have the evidence. I must have the evidence, and they're getting statements, etc., etc. But then when it comes to that lessons learnt section of the pathway of evidence,
Mm,
kind of fall apart.
yeah,
They don't know what to put in there, and it's that part that's so
mm,
important.
it
Think
is
about
100%.
what
I've
lessons have
needed it
we.
throughout my career or I
Yes,
wouldn't be able to be where I am now.
exactly. It's so
100%.
important.
And we're dealing with people, and people are complicated. People are messy, and some like routine, some don't. Some like being led, some don't. You've got to navigate so many different complexities of the human makeup, of the human
Absolutely.
condition as well.
Yeah.
You, you almost have to expect these things so
Mhm.
you can then like be open, like you said, to
Yes,
learning where you went wrong. And without
absolutely. And
that,
what to do better. Yeah.
yeah, and without that, we haven't got a positive culture. So I think that's really important, that point. And coming from yourself when you're in a position of authority, you're highly experienced, it is coming from a very, very relative and experienced source.
Mm.
When you enter a service, what are the first things you pay attention to? Now, I love this question because I get asked by clients, family
Yeah.
members to have a
Yeah.
look at care homes,
Yes.
with them. And
Yeah.
I know straight away what I'm looking for. If they choose to have me go with them, I'll say, these are a few things that are non-negotiable for me if I'm looking at a care home. And they go,
Yeah.
fine, we still want you to come with us, but I'd love to know yours.
Well, I mean, mine, I don't know, mine might be much more simple than yours is, but and I literally just use all of my senses. I use my
One of
eyes,
mine is my senses, the first
I
one.
use my hearing, I use my sense of smell,
Yeah,
I use my intuition. All with I can tell within the first 15-20 minutes
you
when I go
can.
into the service,
Yeah,
um, what the culture. I can tell as soon as I pull up in the car park and the guy greets me and asks me if I'm okay and do I
yeah,
know where I'm going. I
yeah.
just use all of my senses.
Good.
And
Yeah,
people, you know, when you're looking with your eyes, I mean, you can name a numerous things that you're looking at. You can name, the number of staff, what staff look like, do they look happy? The
yeah,
residents, are they dressed well? Does everybody look engaged?
yeah,
Is everybody giving eye contact? Is there lots to do? Are
yeah,
people being treated as individuals? There's so much that you can talk about just by looking with your eyes, but
yeah,
also hearing.
yeah,
Listen.
yeah,
Just take time to listen. And then if you hear anything that you think should be explored a little bit more, go and explore it. Yeah,
yeah. And
absolutely.
I said care homes, but what other care would you apply that to every care setting that you visit?
Absolutely. Yes. So obviously, when I go into domiciliary care,
Yeah,
we've got a dispersed workforce and we've got dispersed clients. So when I go into a domiciliary care service, if the phones are ringing off the hook, and I'm listening to the questions that they're asking people, I'm listening to their responses, I can very quickly gauge whose care plan I want to look at and whose staff file I want to look at just by listening to short bouts of conversations.
yeah, yeah. No, that's brilliant. It's good to sort of broach a little bit on domiciliary because they're very
Yes.
different care settings, but same principles. When you enter a service as well, regarding we've talked about the first things you pay attention to in the senses
Hmm.
that you use to help navigate you through that, and you know very
Mm.
quickly if something's wrong.
Yep.
What about when something's really right and you think, God, this is brilliant. This
Yes.
needs, what do you do then?
Well, first of all, I address it and praise them. I said, "This is how wonderful is this?
Yeah,
How lovely is it that I've got one of the residents greeting me to show me around? How lovely is it that one of the residents are involved in, let's just say they're involved in recruitment? Whenever I go into a service, they're doing things really, really well. I praise them for that. I help align what they're doing to some of the evidence gathering that they have to do for the Care Quality Commission, and
yeah,
also let's not forget the local authorities.
yes,
Um, and one of the main things that I would say about services that are doing things well is they do these things well, they do them naturally, but most of them forget to record it,
yeah.
which is
We're too
such a
focused on the negative, aren't we?
yes, we're always recording the negatives, we're not recording the
Yeah,
positives.
yeah,
How many compliments do people get each day? How many compliments do staff members get each day?
yeah,
We're really quick to record complaints,
yeah,
but record compliments?
yeah. That's why I thought I'd ask it the other way, the question, because you see so many different people that it can't all be disappointing. It must be some must be truly outstanding because they've got the right team and the right people.
Absolutely. And one of the great things of working as a consultant is when you go into services that are doing things really well, and go into a service that isn't doing things so well, you come up with your own suggestions, but you can also give like a lived example of what works well in other services that are from the same sector. So that's really good because you can say, without saying which service you visited, you can keep all that confidential, but you could say, "Oh, have you thought about a service that I visit does this and it works really well? I think it work well here." So that way I'm a bit like a bumblebee. I'm
Yeah.
sharing I'm sharing the pollen, all of the good stuff
Yeah,
around
that's
all
good
the
to know.
little babies across
Yeah.
the services.
That's
So
positive. I like that. That's a busy bee
yeah,
theory.
absolutely.
I was just going to ask, can you share a moment where reflective practice created a real shift for a team or a service?
Yeah, so I think learning to manage conflict within a team, I think, is really good. And I think I went into one service where the team was in conflict, and I think there was about 12 people in the team, but there
Wow.
was only two individuals in this team that were creating that culture of
Yeah.
conflict.
Yeah.
Once I got the team to sit down and understand what their contribution was within a team, which
Yeah.
was supporting them to learn how to um, think about what impact they have positively and what impact they have
Uh-huh.
negatively, and how their own impact on their interactions with each other was having a ripple effect with the whole team. By getting these two individuals to sit and reflect about what's working well within the team, but what
Yeah.
isn't working well, but
Hmm.
also drilling down into that why.
Yeah.
And it turned out that these two team members, one was an older team member, one was a younger team member. The younger team member knew all of the latest systems, the latest processes, the ways of working. The older team member knew how it used to work in before, and what isn't broke, we shouldn't really try and fix it. And
Yeah.
she had a wealth of experience. And once these two team members realized, actually, the older team member said to me, I could actually learn quite a lot from her because she knows all of the new stuff. She's just
Mm.
done all the training. And
Yeah.
the young team member realized that they could actually learn a lot from all of the experience that the other one had, started to get on really well as a team. And once they started getting on really well as a team, the team themselves started repairing and started working more effectively as a team. So it's just a really small example of just
Yeah.
how two people having some reflective practice in terms of their own actions and impacts on the culture within the team.
Yeah, brilliant. And that goes back to what you were saying at the beginning about working on your differences and how they're a positive thing and not a negative, and the dynamics within a group. So that's revisiting your core values, beliefs, and all your expertise. That's
Really.
brilliant. Thank God they had you as a buffer. When we talk about resilience and the future of care, you've obviously worked across acute, community, NHS, and private sector services, and you've seen the pressures the sector is under. But you also bring a hopeful, rounded perspective, on what's possible. And we've touched on the positive a little bit there. But I just wanted to know, when you think about resilience in care, what does it mean to you beyond just coping, using your positive spin on
Yeah,
things?
I think resilience within organizations, I think, is learning how to thrive
Hmm.
and not just survive, how
Okay.
to recover and not to become hard, and how to develop systems within your service for staff where they restore energy within your. It's about that workforce well-being. So I think, we shouldn't get up every day and just try and tread water. We should we should be thinking about how can we thrive today, not just how can we survive. And to make sure that you stay emotionally connected, to recover from
Hmm.
situations within the service. I hear so many times about people that pass away, and how the staff have become used to the process, the end of life process, um, to the point where they're almost kind of giving the feeling that they are hardened to that process. And I think it's not about being hardened to that process, because
No.
everybody's end of life journey is so different.
Yeah.
It's about when you've seen somebody out of this world as well as into this world, but when you get to see people out of this world,
Mm.
it's understanding that that's a gift,
Yeah.
and everybody's end of life journey is different. So, for what you've experienced is different, and it's about recovering, looking after yourself and your staff members when they've been involved in that kind of
I
thing
also,
or
yeah,
terrible experiences.
I also think that, you know, grief and loss is a training that all caregivers should be supported with yearly, not as and when it happens.
Absolutely.
Because when you spend a lot of time with a person, all right, you're not their daughter, you're not their son, it's different. You are a human being and you do form a very real relationship with that person. You meet them where they're at, you're there a lot, and you cannot expect somebody who's been in that situation to not feel upset, not to grieve, not to feel like they've lost something, because
Mm,
they have. And
mm,
again, it's going back to what you said about earlier about dealing with conflict. It's creating that safe space for them to talk about it.
mhm.
Maybe share it with a team, because there was a team of them looking after that person, maybe. I would have thought so. Um, and understanding that you may never ever forget that person. I know there's people I've looked after that I feel so utterly blessed to look after them, but I
Mhm.
really miss them. And I could feel
Yeah.
myself well up now, and that was a long time ago. But that's
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
You're a human being.
Yep.
And it's so nice to hear you say that, because there are still some of these, what I call old school thoughts, that you just button up, move on. But actually, there needs to be some sort of incorporation of teaching us how to sort of accept it, move on, but in a way that's comfortable for the caregiver. Because that's
Absolutely.
going to go a long way for the caregiver to wake up the following morning and go, actually, it's okay. I feel a bit sad because they're not in their room this morning. I might go in there and still open the curtains, but that's okay, because that just means I miss them. And they
Yeah.
really need that. They really need that, because it's high pressure, high
Yeah.
demand. And as you very rightly said, it's
Yeah.
about understanding your emotions and going through it with reflection and with emotional intelligence and
Yeah.
everybody working together.
Yeah. Recovery, not harden.
Yeah, but also being able to carry on with your job,
Yeah.
understanding it's all part of the process. But is
Mhm.
I mean, even if I'm sure a lot of companies now have grief counselling for people, but is it right? Is it the right one, or is it just a service outside of work that people feel, well, I don't know them, I don't really want to talk to them, they don't understand, you know? So there's loads of different ways of looking at it. But you brought up a really important point, I thought. What do you believe needs to change culturally or structurally for care to become more sustainable?
Well, really simply to be more proactive rather than reactive. That's what we need to do.
Mm,
We need to embed well-being of staff into organisation by design and not as an extra. It needs
mm,
to be part of the organizational
mandatory.
structure,
Yeah,
setting up the culture. Staffing to be realistic. It's not just about the bums on the seats. It's not just about dependency tools. It's about people's physical, psychological, spiritual well-being. So looking at staffing as a holistic approach,
holistic. Yeah.
and a number.
Hmm.
And I think also developing really strong leadership cultures where
Yeah.
we, like we spoke before a little bit, but knowing and understanding the difference between leadership and management and how you do need to go from leading to managing several times a day in different spaces, in different situations, and having a shared responsibility, I
Yeah.
think, as well. It's
Yeah.
not just one person responsible for everything. We're all
Yeah.
responsible. It's everybody's responsibility.
And when you get the right team, it works beautifully, doesn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Really well explained. Thank you. Where do you see signs of hope or innovation in the sector?
Well, there's one word, or technically you could call it two words, that's coming up quite a lot. CQC are talking about it. A lot of providers are talking
Yeah.
about it, and it's co-production.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Rather than having sectors that are working in silo, the local authorities, you've got the ICBs, you've got domiciliary care, CQC, local authorities, social services, all of other healthcare professionals. We need to be working in co-production with each other, having that asset-based approach. Not necessarily what you keep hearing within the sector, and that is about duty of care. Well, you've got the duty of care. No, you've got the duty of
We
care.
all have the
How about
duty of care, don't
all
we?
having the duty of care?
Yeah.
Let's work together in
Yeah.
partnership. And
Yeah.
I think that's the sign of hope that I have at the moment in the sector. We just need to push that co-production a little bit more and think about what that looks like and how we can move that forward together, all of us.
Yeah. And that is a big challenge. Big
Yes.
challenge. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to go a long way. And hopefully you will lead us all into this beautifully dynamic collaboration. Because we sure as hell need somebody, because it's so hard to do. Bridging a
Yeah.
gap is a lot
Yes.
more than just words. It can be a
Absolutely.
lifetime.
Hmm.
Um, what would you love to see future leaders prioritize as the landscape continues to evolve? Final question, Tracy.
Final question. Very simple. Emotional intelligence. I think that, yeah, I think leaders in the future need to really prioritize and sort of connect with their local their emotional intelligence as a core competency,
Yes.
be a
Yes.
core competency within them moving forward. More value in lived experiences. I would like to see leaders put themselves in the shoes of the people that are discharging from hospital and moving into their care service or moving into the sector. I would like to see more leaders have the have the courage to challenge,
Yeah.
and more focus on workforce well-being,
Yeah.
pay, and career progression. I think that's what we need to do moving forward.
And that is exactly why I've got you on here, because that is exactly what we are all about here. And it's having that conversation to bring out exactly what you've just said. And I really want to thank you, Tracy, for everything you've shared today. Your insight, your steadiness, and your deep commitment to high quality care have brought so much richness to this conversation. What you've offered here isn't just professional expertise, it's lived wisdom. It's the kind of grounded human understanding that helps people feel less alone in the work that they do. You've reminded us that care is built on foundations and values that need tending. You've shown how emotional intelligence is not a soft skill, it's a survival skill. You've highlighted the power of reflective practice, not as a task, but as a way of being. And you've given us a hopeful, honest look at resilience and the future of care, not as something abstract, but as something we can build together. One conversation, one boundary, one act of courage at a time. Before we close, I want to give you space for any final thoughts. Tracy, given your expertise, because it is huge, is there anything you'd like to leave my listeners with as they continue their own journeys in care, leadership, or personal growth?
Yes, I think I'd like to probably pick up on a word that you said right in your intro in terms of relationships. And I think I would like people to understand that quality care isn't solely built on compliance to policies, rules, and regulations. It's built on relationships, and these are shaped by how you show up for each other and for yourself on all days, and especially the hard days.
Brilliant. I love that. And that will help myself and everybody listening. And do not forget that. I know I won't. I take little snippets from everybody because it's a lot of information, but it's so true. Thank you, Tracy, and to everyone listening. Thank you for being here, for showing up for these conversations, and for the work you do in your own communities, families, and services. These episodes are a reminder that care is collective and none of us do it alone. This has been Continuing the Conversation with Sadie. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other, and keep reflecting, keep growing, and keep caring. Thank you.